Once upon a mountain top, 3 little trees stood. They dreamt of what they wanted to become, when they grew up. The first little tree looked up at the stars and said, "I want to hold treasure. I want to be covered with gold and filled with precious stones. I will be the most beautiful treasure chest in the world." The second little tree looked out at the small stream trickling by on its way to the ocean and said, "I want to be traveling on the mighty waters and carrying powerful kings. I will be the strongest ship in the world." The third little tree looked down into the valley below, where busy men and women worked in a busy town and said, "I don't want to leave the mountain top at all. I want to grow so tall that when people pass by me, they will stop to look at me, they will raise their eyes to heaven and think of God. I will be the tallest tree in the world." Years passed. The rain came, the sun shone, the little trees grew tall. One day, 3 woodcutters climbed the mountain. The first woodcutter looked at the first tree and said, "This tree is beautiful. It is perfect for me." With a swoop of his axe, the first tree fell. "Now I shall be made into a beautiful chest, I shall hold wonderful treasures," said the first tree. The second woodcutter looked at the second tree and said, "This tree is strong. It is perfect for me." With a swoop of his axe, the second tree fell. "Now I shall sail mighty waters and carry powerful kings," said the second tree. The third tree felt her heart sink when the last woodcutter looked her way. She stood straight and tall and pointed bravely to heaven. But the woodcutter never looked up, but he said, "Any kind of tree will do for me." With a swoop of his axe, the third tree fell. The first tree rejoiced when the woodcutter took her to a carpenter's shop. But the carpenter fashioned the tree into a feed box for animals. The once beautiful tree was not covered with gold, nor with treasure. She was covered with sawdust, filled with hay for hungry farm animals. The second tree smiled when the woodcutter took her to a shipyard, but no mighty sailing ship was made. Instead, the once strong tree was hammered and sewn into a simple fishing boat. She was too small and weak to sail to an ocean, or even a river. Instead, she was taken to a little lake. The third tree was confused when the woodcutter cut her into strong beams, and left her in a timber yard. What happened? The once tall tree wondered. "All I ever wanted was to stay on the mountain top." Many days and nights passed. The 3 trees nearly forgot their dreams. But one night, golden starlight poured over the first tree. A young woman placed her newborn baby in the feed box. "I wish I could make a cradle for him," her husband whispered. The woman looked at the sturdy wood and said, "This manger is beautiful." And then the first tree knew he was holding the greatest treasure in the world. One evening, a tired traveler and his friends crowded into the old fishing boat. The traveler fell asleep as the second tree quietly sailed out into the lake. Soon a thundering and thrashing storm arose. The tree shuddered. She knew she did not have the strength to carry so many passengers safely through the storm. But the tired man awakened. He stood up and said, "Peace." The storm stopped as quickly as it had begun. And suddenly the second tree knew she was carrying a mighty king in the world. One Friday morning, the third tree was startled when the beams were yanked from the forgotten woodpile. She flinched as she was carried through an angry, jeered crowd. She shuddered when soldiers nailed a man's hands to her. She felt ugly, harsh, and cruel. But on Sunday morning, when the sun rose and the earth trembled with joy beneath her, the third tree knew that God's love had changed everything. It made the third tree strong. Every time people thought of the third tree, they would think of God. That was better than being the tallest tree in the world. The moral of this story is that when things don't seem to be going your way. Always know that God has a plan for you. If you put your trust in Him, He will give you great gifts. Each of the trees got what they wanted, just not the way they imagined. We don't always know what God's plans are for us. We should know that God's ways are not our ways. Just know that God's ways and plans for you are always the best. What do you think about this story? I would love to see your comment about this video. Please send your comments on the comment section below, and I will get back to you. Please don't forget to like and share this video. And also subscribe for more amazing videos. Thanks for watching.